What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about ZBCN, Zebec today. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. Here we are on the 11th of June, sitting at about $0.00385 right now, with a little bit of a move down yesterday, 8% on the close there. You did pierce the veil. You did see lower lows than what we saw on May 27th here. And at the lowest yesterday, you saw prices of about 0.00376. We're getting there, guys. We're getting there. We're getting somewhere. But again, I want to address something. And this is something that I addressed over the past couple of days, but maybe not so thoroughly. Let me paint it a little bit differently here so it's more obvious, right? It's probably more obvious now than it's been throughout this whole range that we are in fact going down to 0.034 or lower, right? I think that at this point it's fair to say that this was a relative top and we're going to move down and you're going to move up. It's going to be bullish again, right? I don't think there's anyone arguing that now. But what I do want to point out is, you know, just for future references, in case anybody here who's watching this, maybe you're giving me shit in the comments, you know, and maybe now you're quiet because of this, you know, I get it. Sometimes you're wrong, sometimes you're emotional. How are you going to avoid that in the future, right? I'm not here to talk smack to you, even if you're talking smack to me, I don't care. I want to help you get better, right? Identify this in yourself next time it happens, okay? Look at this, right? Just look at the chart. You see how from a high to a low, we dropped 42% in 2 days. We really dropped 42.7% over a 4-day period. Do you think that was it? Whenever here, right, from a low to a high, we moved up 10.2x in a month and a week. You think 42% in 4 days? You just got a quick shakeout in 4 days and that was it. You moved up for a month and a week over 10x and you think 4 days of correction. That's it. That's all we had to do. Most of the volume, you look at ZBCN on Bybit, which has the most volume for ZBCN, most of the volume came in at these areas, which means most people from this rally bought at these areas. And you think most people probably didn't buy the high. Most people probably bought in this area. And you think just because we returned to where that price was and it took 4 days to do it, you think that's it, right? That's what I've been saying, as just to like make it clear, right? That sounds a bit silly. And I think retrospectively it sounds silly. But here's the other thing. Look at what happened back here. When from a low to a high, we moved up, did a 3x, not a 10x. No, it was much lower. It was a 3x. Do you notice anything about that? Do you notice how when we started to correct from that high, it took us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days to move down? 9 days. It was a lot less of a pullback, don't get me wrong, percentage-wise, but it took us more than a week at least, right? More than a week at least. My next thought here, in direct comparison to this, does this consolidation phase look smaller to you or bigger to you than what this consolidation phase looks like? I would step out on a very sturdy limb here, right? I'm pretty confident in what I'm about to say. This looks like a bigger consolidation phase to me than this one was. And just thinking logically, again, I'm trying to help you create dots to connect for the next time that something like this happens. If you see this way, it helps you know when to avoid being bullish in the wrong situations or being overzealous in the wrong situations, right? This is a larger phase of consolidation. Of course it is. Of course it is. A 10x move in a month and a week? Are you kidding me? Of course it's a larger phase of consolidation than this is going to be. Since we've started moving down, and yes, I'm measuring from this high down here. I didn't measure from this high right here and down, right? If I did, it would take more time, but we didn't really start moving down until this day. Where on this day, we really did start moving down. We're on our 9th day now, okay? Clearly a larger phase of consolidation than this was here. But when we were at our low, that took us 9 days. If it's a larger phase of consolidation, this is another question that I asked. And I asked this before we were at these lows. I asked this like a week ago. I asked everything that I've asked so far a week ago. This is actually a new question that I'm about to ask right now, but it's on the same kind of context, right? This is a new question. I think now that we're here, it might be easier for some of the overzealous people to answer this. Ready? Smaller consolidation phase, larger consolidation phase. Do you think they're going to have the exact same time frame of consolidation, or do you think this one might consolidate longer? Is that a reasonable deduction? Because the thing is, nobody knows the future. It could be tomorrow and we're right through the roof again. ZBCN is through the roof. You never know. There's no guarantees. But that's not what technical analysis is about. It's not a crystal ball telling me the future. You can't see into it. read it properly, read it improperly. It's not about that. You can read it perfectly and still be wrong. It's all statistics. Statistically speaking, logically speaking, through just reasonable deduction, I would think 3x versus a 10x, a move that was literally from this low to high is basically twice as big as this low to high here, overall dramatically larger. I would think that we see at least double that time in consolidation. Does that sound so crazy? Does that sound hard? Is that hard to believe? It might be hard to believe for some people, but I have a feeling there's a lot of you now who might be understanding and might be seeing this for what it is, right? It clearly, just use your eyes. It's clearly a larger phase of consolidation, so we probably will consolidate for longer, and that's okay. There are plenty of cryptos right now that over the next week are probably going to pump up. ZBCN won't be one of them, but guess what? It's outperformed all of them for the past month and a half. It can drop and it's still up higher than anything else from its lows. Even if everything else moves up over the next week and ZBCN moves down, it's still in a better position. Don't get scared, and this is very important. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but don't, if you sell here, man, you're effectively selling the low, potentially, or near the low. It's not the right time. You're in a better area to buy. This thing's a winner. It's going to do well. It's going to do very well. What's ZBCN's market cap right now? $300 million. Are you kidding me? You have 100x, you have 200x potential, and you want to sell this thing here? I mean, maybe sell it if you want a loss. Sell it for loss. Buy it back immediately, and you'll get those. You'll be able to claim that on your losses for capital gains, right? Capital losses, tax deductive purposes, right? And you can do that with crypto. You don't have to wait 30 days like you do with stocks, right? Because they're not securities, they're commodities. So you can actually buy and sell. The wash rule doesn't apply to crypto. So if you're down, let's say you bought the absolute high and you're in a terrible position to sell right now, maybe if you sell and buy back like literally right then and there, you can at least claim the losses, right? And yes, you'll have to pay for the gains, yes, but think about it like this. I'm just going to go on a quick little detour, okay, and then we'll come right back to this, okay? If you had $10,000 in losses, okay, whenever you make that back, let's say you sell and then you buy back instantly, you claim the losses, and then the price goes back to where it was, where you're not $10,000 in a loss, you're at neutral. You're neutral. So you just made 10, because you sold at the bottom and you bought back. If you were to sell at that neutral price again, now you have to pay taxes on that $10,000 in gains, right? But the amount that you have to pay on that $10,000 in gains is a percentage, right? Where the loss that you claimed was it was the whole thing. It's not a percentage, it's the whole thing. So even with that, it's still beneficial. Does that make sense? I don't know how to explain it any better, but I feel like I articulated that well. All I'm trying to say, though, getting back to the main point, we've got more consolidating to do. I hope it's obvious, right? We're seeing some of the lower readings in the RSI that we've seen in a while. We're breaking out of our uptrend, right? Uptrends in the RSI, and you can see it. Hopefully you can see the uptrend here. Why is this? What's happening? Is this broken? Like what? Is it invisible? What the what? It won't let me draw. Whoa. You guys see that? That was weird, man. That was really weird. Something's going on here. Let's see. Okay, hold on. Let me try and delete this. I don't know what's going on here, man. Can I draw? Okay, cool. Can you see the uptrend that we're going for? I'm getting distracted on all fronts, man, from myself and from TradingView, and I'm still staying on point. I'm so good. We've broken out of the uptrend, and uptrends tend to end once you're in the overbought zone and once you have bearish divergence. We thought it was happening here, but hey, it ended up happening here. And I mean, to be fair, you did kind of break out of a momentary uptrend there, but you bounced off the 50 here. You've clearly broken out of this long-term large uptrend that you formed back in the beginning of March here. You're probably going to go down to the oversold zone, right? You're not going to go deep into it, I wouldn't assume. You probably, at the most, you see like a little dip into it or something like that, or at the very least, something that's very near it like this, right? Something below the 40, but you're not quite there yet. And let's go back in time. Let's look at this real quick, right? You had a nice little uptrend here, right? Higher lows, higher highs, and you broke out of that here. You went to the oversold zone. Hold on, guys, hold on. You went to the oversold zone there. If you guys hear my daughter cry, just bear with me, okay? She's going to bed, and sometimes she gets a little unruly. Whenever we... Whew. One second, okay. whenever we found the low in the RSI here, okay, were we done going lower in the price? No. Did we have most of the move down? Yes, but we still found lower lows. Did we move up immediately after finding the low in the RSI? No, we did not, right? I mean, well, kind of, yes, but you didn't see that move. You know, you didn't progress higher immediately is what I should say. But yes, you did. I guess you did move up a little bit. You had a little breather. All I'm trying to offer by that perspective is when we do find the lows, which will probably be within the next week or so in the RSI, which will be probably within the next week or so, maybe even in the price. Just because you find low here doesn't mean that that's the low in the price. You could consolidate and still move slightly lower, get a double bottom or something like that. Even if it is the low, that doesn't mean that you're off to the races right then and there, right? You're still going to configure yourself. You're going to move sideways. You're going to dilly-dally at the very least, and you'll probably not see a pace like this again until maybe the beginning of July. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm trying to get at. It's not even the middle of June. We're getting to the middle of June right now. It might be a half month before ZBCN starts to kick off like it has before. Why? Why am I saying that? Why am I expecting this to be a bigger consolidation phase than the last consolidation phase? It should be obvious. It already is. And what we're doing in the RSI is different and showing more weakness. And of course, you're going to take a break. Of course, you're going to have a long phase of consolidation. You guys, you did a 10x in a month and a week. And you think that about a month, I'm talking about a month, about that same amount of time in consolidation phase, you don't think that that's appropriate, at least? Most of the time, the moves up are about half of what you get in consolidation. You like double that for consolidation, you know what I mean? It's not necessarily, it's more like however long you consolidate, half that time is how long it takes for you to exact your move. That doesn't mean that when you consolidate again, now it's going to take twice that time. That's not how it works. But I'm just saying, I don't think it's that hard to believe that a month of consolidation and a month of consolidation is not the same as a month of going down. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying you'll probably only go down for another week or so. You know what I mean? Like that, it's probably not going to be too much longer. You'll find your low soon. You're very near it now, I think. But from a time perspective, if you think you find your low and then you're ready to just rip like that, you're going to be bored. You're going to be like me with Onyx Coin, thinking that we're ready to rip here after we had a nice little move up in 3 days. We're going to move up here. No, of course we're going to consolidate more. I have to admit, this is pretty damn boring, the amount of consolidation. I don't think that you're going to see this with ZBCN. You're not going to consolidate that long, but you got more time. So think about it like this. You have an opportunity to buy at lower prices. You have time to gather. You have time for other cryptos that you're holding to go up in price, and ZBCN will only be at lower prices. You have the opportunity to, if you'd like to, hopefully you do it the right way. You don't sell ZBCN at the lows for the coins that are pumping while ZBCN is going down. Hopefully you don't, if a coin's doing this and ZBCN is doing this, hopefully you don't sell ZBCN at the low and you buy the coin that's at the high. Hopefully what you do is you sell your coin that's at the high and you buy the coin that's at the low. You know what I mean? You can double dip that way. It's a little bit, and not financial advice, not a financial advisor. I'm just saying if I was holding ZBCN, that's what I would look to do. Right, you're in a better position now to buy than you are to sell, right? And I think if you wait a little bit longer, that will only become more true. If we're looking at this here from the 23rd of April, from that low to this high here, officially below the 236, right? At this point, it's very likely that we go down to 0029, but I have to admit, I feel like I've made this call like 3 times over the past 2 months for some things that were just like, I was very confident we'd go here because, again, the probability that you go here is just so high. You break below the 236, the probability you go to the 382 is so damn high, and I've seen it 3 times in the last month, which is crazy. Maybe 2 times, maybe 2 times. But still, the fact that it's happened multiple times is just crazy. The chance that you find support above your 382 could happen. We saw it with Cookie Dow. We've seen it with XCN. We could see it with ZBCN. I can't think about what the third one was, if there even was a third one. Maybe I just said that. I thought there were 3, but maybe not. Point of resistance here, it might make sense that you find support just above the 382. But looking at the fibs, the statistical probability right now, I would say is like 90% or more that you do go just below, not too much below, but just below 003, okay? 00295 is where you'd go. If not there, then at least 0034 or lower. You're at 0038 now. You're super close, both in time and in price to your low. You got a little bit more time in consolidation and winding yourself up before the next move up. And then once you move up, it's probably going to be July. You'll probably move up and rally with the rest of the markets you can move up fast. We've shown that. And I do think you will move up fast, right? Whenever it comes time to move higher, and I can't wait to find the low because I would love to get a high to low fib extension off of this and see where this, let's just pretend that we do find support right at the three, that zone there. Let me put it over here so that we have, if I put it here, it's too hard to tell which is which. So let's just put it over here so we can at least have a staggering of these readings here. I would expect that you would go to at least this zone, which the 188.6200 there, 2618's all the way up there. So yeah, I would think at the highest you would go here, and at the least you would go here. How much of a percentage growth is that? I know we've done this enough times, but I like to start fresh and just make sure that it's fresh in the brain here. That from the current price would be about a 3.6x. And that's fine. You've done so well. I mean, overall, since that bottom in April, in late April there, that would result in this move overall being a 20x. That's not bad. That's crazy. You know, that's largely outperforming the majority of the coins. And what's great about that is that's still just the minimum target. I don't think you stop there. The maximum target would be all the way up here. It's about an 11x, which is phenomenal, which is crazy. But again, I don't think you stop there either. The minimum and the maximum, that's the peak and the low of the range. I don't think you stop there either. That'd put it in overall 63x by the end of this move. And it can happen. I've seen that kind of stuff happen before. It can happen. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I don't think that you get above there. 4.4 cents, maybe 4.5 cents, 5 cents itself might be the highest that I see you going. Still crazy growth though, right? And that's a 10, 11x from here. Let alone from from lower prices actually, from the price that I think you're going to go to or lower, that turns that 11x into about a 13x. So that's nice. You know, if you wait, you can double down if you're expecting this maximum zone. I'm not expecting that. I like this 2618 lining up right with the 2272. You might wick just above it. I like that. That sounds a little bit more appropriate. That's about a 7x from the current price. Let alone if it goes lower, that 7x could turn into a almost 8x. And then from the low overall, that's a 37x. That's pretty impressive in itself. And that makes sense to me as well. I wonder too, what would a 6x from here, 6x from the current price, 6 times that's 1,808, or sorry, 1.8 billion. So maybe, yeah, even just a little bit above there because you got $2 billion, kind of psychological resistance. I could see this happening, yeah, somewhere around here. But you got the money zone here. You got the 2618 here, the 2618 on this one, right above the 2272. Just all, I feel like something in this 2.5 cent to 3.5 cent area is likely where you're going to top off. But you could top off in July at 1.36 at the least, if not 4.4 cents at the most. That's my expectation. But before then, we're probably going to consolidate. And I'm not saying you have to consolidate all the way until July. You don't. It doesn't have to be that boring. Maybe the last week of this month, at the earliest, will be when you start to see some life again. And again, that doesn't mean you're moving down the whole time. You saw consolidation here. You're doing like this, but you didn't really see life in this thing until here. And even then, still, you know what I mean. You moved up. You moved up here, but you didn't really see life until the next week. Let's actually look at this here, right? You had your low, you moved up, but you didn't see life until like a week later, right? So that's what I mean whenever I say see life in this thing. You can move down within the next week, find your low, wherever it is, move up, whatever, dilly-dally, and then the last week of June, then that can be when you start to do your ZBCN things. But I'm thinking more so it'll be in the beginning of July that you start to show life again. Maybe it's at the end of June. You know, nobody knows. Timing's the hardest thing to get. But what I am confident in is we're going to go down to 0034 or lower. I have nothing else for you guys. The lowest I would think we go to, I think, was 0022. Personally, though, I think 0029 to 0034 is where you would go for the low. I'm very confident in that 0034 area. But again, from a low here to a high, that 382 is right there at 0029. So it is something to anticipate at the very least. And from the fibs, if we looked at nothing else at all and just looked at the fibs, I would say with this look, like if I looked at this and I knew nothing about ZBCN and you just showed me this, I would say with a 90% certainty we're going to this 382. But with everything else considered that I do know about it and about the atmosphere of the crypto markets right now, I think you do stand a chance of finding support at 0034 or even just below there. I've got nothing else for you guys. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one, okay? Take care of yourselves. Don't panic if it goes down. It's not the time to sell now. Everything that I've talked about to the downside could be wrong. We could just rip at any moment, and that's why it's not time to sell now. And you don't want to sell your winners, right? But if anything, it is a time to buy. Nothing hurt. It never hurts to DCA, but I think if you wait, you'll probably have better buying opportunities. Probably within the coming days, if not sometime next week. But that's all I got. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.